The story was that in 2017, almost 6 years ago, I was 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride, and I was hit by an Orange County Transit Authority bus. You're in shock, you can't think, it's surreal, you're kind of out of it for kind of a long time actually. And you're literally, your brain has been knocked offline. And I try to tell people when you have a trauma like that, and even after the trauma, what part of the thing with an injury like that is that your brain is your central processing unit. So yes, you're still alive. So it's like your computer, it's still on, all your programs are in there, but it's kind of like your internet connection. You can't get it back. So any new information, which is happening in real time, can't come in. You're like stuck. So you're also in disbelief trying to make sense because I never saw the bus. I looked to my left. You know, I used to wait. I started off in emergency medicine. So one of the things as a paramedic that I had to do was drive the ambulance, not just be the medic in the back. So we were trained to look left, right, left before we went through any intersection, whether the light was green or red. And so as a result, I've always been trained to go left, right, left. Well, in this case, I went left, right, fly and landed on the floor. So I suffered that TBI. And like I said, I also suffered from impaired vision, blurry, vacillating vision. I had an incredible amount of sensitivity to light that it would make my eyes tear. Couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate. I felt that I had, that stuck, foggy brain. I had horrible tinnitus. It was loud during the day, but at night it was exponentially louder when everything else would calm down. Yeah. I would be up trying to go to sleep at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes at 10 or 11, I would finally go to sleep, and then I would only sleep for 4 or 5 hours. So that was very, very frustrating because I understand as a practitioner how important it is for your body to recuperate, which a lot of it is done while you're resting and sleeping. And so, in addition to the tinnitus, I would also sometimes have like random vertigo for, it appeared to be no apparent reason, but of course it's because of the TBI, right? I also would see random shooting stars, like I'd be, walking around, maybe going to grab a green matcha latte, and all of a sudden I would see like shooting stars, like raining. And I thought, So I'm like, do I love low blood platelets or is that from my TBI? Funnily enough, the first 2 years, I was in terrible pain those first 2 years, but I had no awareness that I had zero short-term memory because I was walking on eggshells all the time because the pain in my leg, believe it or not, didn't hurt that much. Even though the laceration was right on the bone, my pain in my neck and my lower back was so horrible that I was walking on eggshells all the time, trying to manage the pain so it wouldn't go from excruciating to nuclear. And it was almost unbearable on a daily basis, but if I would sneeze, if I would cough, if all of a sudden a door slammed because the air pressure, because wind blew through a window and it would slam, I would flinch, and then it was horrific pain. So I also had, let's see, some of the other things that I had terrible loss of appetite. I had zero appetite. I was never hungry. And I lost 8 or 9 pounds that I couldn't really afford to lose because I was already regular. I was like normal weight. So I dropped to like 92 pounds, which I could not afford to lose the 8 or 9 pounds. So now my clothes are hanging on me. Of course, I had a bald spot from the point of impact, and I had another bald spot, two of them the size of quarters on the top of my head, which I thought that was so bizarre. When I told my neurologist about it, he goes, you were hit by a bus. Kept on reminding me every time I went to my appointments. But alopecia is, your chemistry gets completely out of whack. So that created also where I had skin irregularities. I had like lesions on my chest and around my lips, and it was just a hot mess. My hair also, I lost half of my hair, and the hair that remained was very dry, brittle, and coarse. And I also noticed that after about a year of my chemistry being this far out of whack, I had first one black spot that showed up on my tongue. And then I thought, well, something's got to kill you. If it's cancer, so be it. But I just need to get the other stuff, fixed first. And I go, if I go to the doctor for this black spot on my tongue, I know the MO. They're going to want to biopsy it. I know that song and dance. So I'm like, I'm just going to balance my chemistry. I knew enough about neurobiophysiology to balance my chemistry. I figure I can reverse that on my own. What I'm having trouble reversing was all the other symptoms that I mentioned. I ended up with 3 black spots on my tongue and 1 black spot also on my lower lip. I know that it's all tied to your intestine if it's showing up on your lips, right? Because your intestine is simply, the beginning is your mouth, the ending is your anus, right? I also developed a tooth abscess and I had dulled senses. So in addition to my eyes vacillating, my hearing was fine, but I did have that tinnitus. But I had a very dulled sense of smell, significantly so, and my sense of taste, of course, was shot, and super dry skin. When I started on the patches, I had already gotten my short-term memory back, because since I'm a neurosomatic practitioner, I know how to repattern the brain, and I knew the steps that I needed to take to forge those new neurological pathways. But what I noticed was when I first started putting the patches on, I still had, like I said, some of these symptoms. And so the first day, I didn't feel anything, but I knew that only 82 to 85% of the people feel something when they first put the patches on. And the rest, 15% approximately don't. So I'm like, okay, so even though I'm very sensitive to energy, for whatever reason, I'm not feeling it, no big deal. But I know that it's working. So, and then I do sway testing, which my body's going, yes, this is really good for you, right? So as I continued to wear the patches in the first month, the first 30 days, around somewhere between the 3rd and the 4th week, I noticed when I had started on the patches, I knew that there were 90 independent research studies. And I'm like, wow, so I have to learn all 12 of all these individual patches, what they do. I need to learn, I was already familiar with acupuncture points and so forth and doing acupressure on people. So I'm like, okay, now I need to pair up using the patches along with these acupuncture points and then learn the protocols, from the Healing of Light book. And I thought this might take some time, but this is actually really good because your brain loves to learn things and you forge new neurological pathways. And I was assuming and predicting that because I had this rapid acceleration of the stem cells, that I would learn it much quicker because since everything is being repaired and restored, and my left and my right brain hemisphere from eon is being balanced from the left and the right, and melatonin is regulating your frontal lobe as well. I'm like, I should be in good shape. How long? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is the ship has left port. What was surprising was in that 3rd to 4th week, I was reading a study from IceWave from Tang Veritas Medicine University, and I'll never forget when I read, I think that was like maybe the 8th or 9th paper that I had read. And when I read that paper, the keywords on it, just like, it was almost like the heavens opened, and it said organic, nanotechnology, photobiomodulation, and acupuncture points. And I'm like, these keywords are brilliant. The other papers didn't have those keywords. This one did. And I thought no one that I had been exposed to in the stem cell activation patch community and LifeWave were using those. They were using the word photobiomodulation, but not all of those words in combination. So I immediately knew that I needed to commit that to memory and I needed to start languaging that with everyone that I spoke to. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to write this down a few times. I highlighted it. I'm going to have to, outline the paper to commit it to memory, to learn it and to memorize it so I can repeat it and recall it. The very next day, I'm on a Zoom call doing an info Q&A with a group of people, and the next thing, I just thought of that paper, and immediately, organic nanotechnology, photobiomodulation, acupuncture points, and I was even able to, it's almost like I had photographic memory back, where I was able to read the LifeWave organic nanotechnology patches using photobiomodulation, meld with traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture points, are creating a significant effect and outcome for the reduction or elimination of pain in patients. And I thought, as I basically blurted that out, I thought to myself, I only read that paper one time. I'm like, OMG. My memory is not just back to where I was in college during pre-med. It is like beyond, it's even better. I'm like, and this is only a month in? Oh my gosh, the sky is the limit. What is possible, not just for me, but what is possible for anyone and everyone out there? And the rest is history.